Hello, welcome to the Carla Knits podcast. Today is Thursday, August 5th. This is episode 22. I am coming to you from a warm day here in Nebraska where I live with my husband Jeff, our daughter Jenna, and our cat Reese's. This is primarily a podcast about knitting, sometimes crocheting, and certainly about all of the yarny goodness that I get up to. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as CB Crafty Girl, and we do have a group on Ravelry for this podcast under Carla Knits. All of that information and information on everything I talk about today, yarns, patterns, other podcasts will be listed down below in the show notes. So happy that you are joining me today. Just a couple of admin things to talk about before I share some of my progress on my projects for this week. The first is we have a make-along going in the Ravelry group and on Instagram. It is Merry Make-Along 2021, which started July 1st and goes to the end of August. So you still have a couple weeks, actually several weeks, to participate. This is for any Christmas gift knitting that you or making that you would like to get started on, or maybe knock out a couple presents or two. This can be knitting, crocheting, sewing, weaving. Someone is cross-stitching, so anything you would like to make for someone else for Christmas, or maybe you'd like to make something Christmassy for yourself. It could just be to put in your Christmas box in general, your gift boxing in general, even if it doesn't have a recipient designated for yet, but anything you are making to make ahead for Christmas. So 3 ways that you can win. You can win by a chance of winning, through the chatter thread on Ravelry, the finished object thread on Ravelry, and there are already several finished objects which are just wonderful. So congratulations to you guys for getting those Christmas makes going and finished. And then the third way is on Instagram using the hashtag MerryMakeAlong21. And if you do that on Instagram, just make sure that you tag me so that I can be sure to see that. So thank you already to those of you who are participating. I hope you're having fun. I am working on something for the Merry Make-Along. I sure wish I was getting more done, but that's okay. That's okay. A little bit at a time, and everything that I knock off in the summer is one less thing to think about towards the end of the year. So doing okay. All right, there is a new thing I wanted to announce today. I will be hosting a mini skein swap in the Ravelry group. So I already posted a thread, or opened a thread on there having all the information. It is called the 12 Skeins of Christmas. And the idea is that you will be paired with somebody and swap 12 mini skeins of yarn. And these are 12 10-gram mini skeins of fingering weight yarn. It should be primarily indie dyed yarn. And you know, if you have leftovers, I have so many leftovers from sock skeins or shawl, you know, leftover fingering weight. So if you have a lot of that and would like to participate, if you love to make scrappy things like scrappy socks or the scrappy Afghans, you know, the crochet granny stripe Afghan or the cozy memories blanket, you know, having these little mini skeins is a great way, you know, to add to your projects. So how can you join? All of the information is listed in that thread on Ravelry. I am going to limit it to 50 people. I'm just going to try to keep it manageable for myself. It will be open to U.S. residents only. To participate, you just need to message me on Ravelry with your full name and complete mailing address. I will be pairing people up mid-September, and then after you are paired up, you can message each other on Ravelry and introduce yourself, maybe tell a little bit about your craftiness or crafty adventures. Maybe share your favorite colors of yarns. And then, so introduce yourself that way. And then if you want to add any little extras in the package, you can discuss that with your partner. But what it is, the minimum requirement is 12 10-gram mini skeins of yarn. To make those 10-gram mini skeins, I use this little scale that I got on Amazon, and this is what it is. So I can weigh those, you know, put a little ball of yarn or a little skein on as I'm winding, a little ball, I guess it would be, and then measure how many grams it is. So you can do it that way. In the past, before I had a scale, I did participate in a swap, and I used a 18-inch piece of cardboard in which I would wrap the yarn around the whole thing, and that is a yard. So, for example, if I have a skein of fingering weight yarn, which it's a 100-gram skein, and it has 463 yards for 100 grams. For 10 grams, that would be 46.3 yards. And so I would wrap this around that many times to get a 10-gram mini skein. So I did that one year using that piece of cardboard to make the mini skein. So you don't have to have the scale, although I think the scale maybe makes it a little bit easier. So I would love it if you would participate. I know lots of people love getting advent calendars, and I think this is maybe a little bit more affordable way to do it. Just, you know, share and swap with somebody else. You know, if you have some in your stash, you swap with someone else. It's a great way to add to your scraps. Please do check that out on Ravelry, and if you have any questions, you can certainly message me there or in the comments below or on Instagram. Okay, and in that thread you can also ask questions. So I hope I've covered everything. Just if you want to participate, I think that is great. Just make sure that you are truly all in and able to participate, because it is very disappointing if someone's partner doesn't follow through on that. So just make sure that you are willing to commit to those 12 skeins, mini skeins of yarn, and sending that to a partner in the mail. And those swap packages will be mailed out November 1st of this year, in order that people can get it by December to open as part of their Advent leading up to Christmas. All right, I have a half finished object today, and it is a sock. This is the Evergreen Socks by Madeline Gannon, and the yarn I used, is by Fig and Posy Company in the Sage colorway. Is that right? Let me just double check. Fig and Posy yarn in the Sage colorway. And for the for the life of me, I cannot remember where I got the contrasting yarn for this sock. I know I used this yarn in my Simple Hug Cardi from last fall, and I really want to say it's Maker's Haven, who no longer dyes yarn. That is my best guess, but I thought that would be a cute little contrast for the toe. So this pattern is really fun. It has those cute trees, those evergreen trees on, and this I am making for Christmas for my mom. And so I have the first one done, and that leads me into whips for today, which I will talk, the whip is the next sock, and as you can see, I am not very far. I have the cuff done, the ribbing, which I find if I can get past the ribbing, I'm good, because that seems to take the most time for me. So I am 1 to 2 rows beyond the ribbing, so getting ready to start the fun trees. So that part is super fun and goes by pretty quickly. So I look forward to continuing to work on that sock. My next project, let's see. right, I have in this bag, which I think I've showed before, it's Bags by Awesome Granny, and this fun London print with these cute girls and the telephone booth and the double-decker bus, the Uncle Ben clock tower. I just think this is super fun fabric. So in this bag is the shawl that I started recently. This, oh goodness, and I am in the middle of a row. I never want to do that. But I did. This is the Cinder Shawl by Kalura Hudson. Oh, I am sorry about that, guys. This is the progress I have made this week where that little stitch marker is. So it's not a whole lot, but it's some. The rows are getting a little bit longer. And the yarn I am using is Kenzie by Haiku, the beautiful purple color. And I don't know if you can pick it up, but there are fun specks of pink, like a, yeah, kind of a bubblegummy pink in that boysenberry color. And that is the Silk Noils. But the two colors are boysenberry, and then this might be reading white, but it's actually a very lightish gray, and that's called Glacier. So this is, it's a worsted weight shawl. I am using DK weight. I'm enjoying using this yarn, a little bit more rustic. Don't know if you can see that there's some lovely halo to this yarn, and it's either the alpaca or it has some Angora in it too. So it does remind me of Angora fibers. So that may be the longer parts. I guess it could be either the Angora or the alpaca, but I'm really enjoying this yarn. I did go to the yarn shop today where I saw the sample in June, I guess it was, and I looked at the sample again and I just love it. So I'm really excited to be knitting this shawl up. The star of that shawl will be the border, which a very lacy and bobbly border. So I will be anxious to get to that part. All right, my next work in progress is my Autumn League pullover, which I've been sharing for so long now, since the beginning of June. And that is living in this bag by Ginger Root Bags on Etsy. This is one of my favorites. It's just a great size. It's big enough, deep enough, holds lots of yarn. I really like this project bag. But this is my Autumn League pullover by Two of Wands. Last week I had completed the collar but had not sewn it down. But this week I did sew the neckband down, and I used a tutorial. Let me just double check this. A tutorial by Fringe Supply Company on Instagram, and it's in their stories. So I tacked that neckline down, and I think that turned out really, really nice. And then I guess it was Tuesday night this week, I have picked up the sleeve. So if you remember, it was started flat, then in the round, then the front was knit flat, the back was knit flat, and the sleeves are knit flat too. And then when I'm done with the sleeves, you will seam everything up. And the thought behind the seaming is to add structure to the sweater, which I hope is true, because it does feel very floppy. I love how this feels. I absolutely love how this feels, and I think it's going to be wonderful to wear. I am disappointed in the yarn, in the fact that it is a commercial yarn. It's Lion Brand Cotton Jeans yarn, all the same dye lot, but there are very obvious color shifts in the yarn. So hopefully, well, hopefully, maybe not hopefully, but you can see those lines there. And then I know there's lines in the back too. So even that commercial dyed yarn, yeah, inconsistent. So I really have never thought before about alternating skeins for a commercial dyed yarn like Lion Brand, or I've used Cascade. Yeah, I never would, but I guess it makes me think now maybe I better pay a little bit more attention to that in the future. So it's getting really close to being done. So sleeve, then I have to pick up this sleeve and then seam the whole thing together. My hope is, and my goal is to have it done by the end of August. I am participating in the knit along for this sweater, which is hosted by the Strings Attached podcast, and that is the end of their knit along. So I do hope to have that done, but it has been a real pleasure to work on. I will say this is one of the most relaxing knitting of a sweater that I have done. So that is the Autumn Leaf pullover. My final WIP is in another bag by Bags by Awesome Granny. And I admired this bag for so long, and then I think she had a sale some time ago, maybe last year or maybe 2 years ago. That sweet little firefly children catching print. There's a sweet little girl on the handle. She's caught a firefly. I just think that is adorable. So living in this bag is my ranunculus. And let's see, what's the best way to show you this? Okay. I probably should have put this on longer needles, but this is the front of the sweater. And this is where I was at last week, where that Progress Keeper is. And I believe that Progress Keeper was by Amy of Noble Character Crafts from some time ago. But I have made a couple inches, that might be almost 4 inches of progress on that. The yarns that I am using, this yarn is by Knit One Crochet 2, the Winter Blossom line, and it is in the Sage colorway. And then the mohair that I am holding double with it is by Craftily Dyed Yarn in the Succulent colorway, and she is on Etsy. So holding these two together for this sweater. So I have completed the lace part of the yoke. Hopefully you can see that. I think you can see that pretty good. So I've completed the lace part of the yoke. I have just a couple rows to go for certain before I divide for the sleeves. And I said earlier that I did go to the yarn store today, and that kind of leads me into acquisitions, because I have 4 balls of this, and that very well may be enough, but I want to make sure the sweater is not cropped. I want it a little bit longer. And I also would like either 3/4 inch sleeves or full sleeves on it. So I wanted to pick up a couple more skeins, and if I don't use them, I can return them, the owner told me. So that goes into my acquisitions for this week. So I have 2 more skeins of this beautiful yarn, the Winter Blossom yarn. And I think I shared this before. The content is 50% organic wool, 30% mohair, and 20% silk. So the mohair may be getting me right now, and that's why I'm coughing. This in and of itself is a beautifully soft yarn and so drapey. And then just holding it with that mohair, I just think that is creating a lovely, lovely drapey fabric. Yeah, so I'm really excited how that is coming along. And then when I was there, I picked up 2 skeins of DK weight yarn, and this is Emma's yarn. I'm sure some of you have heard of these. So Emma's yarn, her Simply Spectacular DK, and this is in the Everglades colorway, and that is, oh, so beautiful. So her DK base has 255 yards, and it's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. This stunning color, so fun and summery, is her August 21 colorway. No color name, just August 21. So those turquoises and blues and greens and those fun little speckles of some navy blues in there. That is going to be so fun. So DK weight socks are becoming increasingly popular. I notice more and more designers have are publishing patterns for DK weight socks, and even Kay, the crazy sock lady, has a new pattern. So I picked these up, and I would like to try Kay's pattern. If you have been a longtime viewer of this podcast, you may have remembered that I tried, I did knit my first DK weight sock this year, pair of socks this year. That was using Bumblebee Acre Farms, and that pair of socks was just lovely, and that was their pattern. So I'm gonna try Kay's pattern. This is free on Ravelry. So DK weight vanilla socks by Kay Litton. So I am anxious to try that. So that will probably be a new cast on. I would like to skein up one of those and get started right away. So that is my acquisitions for this week. Let's see, just a little bit of chatter. It has been kind of a very exciting week in our household. Our oldest son, Aaron, and his girlfriend, Kelsey, got engaged on Friday night, last Friday. So that is very exciting. They have been dating for a long time. So we are absolutely thrilled for both of them. Then this week we celebrated Jeff's birthday. All our kids were home, including our son who lives in Kearney. So he came home and we went to the lake and did some sailing and had a fun dinner with everybody and celebrated with one of Jeff's favorite desserts, which is pie. So I made his bumbleberry pie, which I think I made that pie for Father's Day weekend too, but he really likes his fresh fruit, and he really likes fresh fruit pies in the summer. So that was Jeff's birthday this week. This is the last week that our pool is open in town. So Jenna is winding down her lifeguarding time. And next week she will be starting school. So school is gearing up, and some of you, maybe school has already geared up for you or your children or grandchildren. Jeff and I will start work in a few weeks, and so we are working, trying to get our schedules set for the fall. Let's see, I play organ this weekend for 2 churches. I have 3 church services to play for, so I am busy with that, and just trying to survive the heat that is in Nebraska. So yeah. So I think that is all I have to share with you today. I know I had talked about the possibility of going to every 2-week schedule, and I'm really not sure yet. I really enjoy doing this. So we will see how the fall pans out. But I really enjoy sharing my yarny adventures with all of you. So thank you so much for joining me today and for following along. Thank you for giving me a thumbs up, and thank you to all of my subscribers. I'd love to hear down below from you. I'd love to hear what you are working on, knitting on, crocheting on, making. And please think about either participating in the Merry Make-Along, or if you'd like to join in the mini skein swap, check out Ravelry for information on that. So I will close for now, and I will see you again really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.